Chapter 3. Kids, this is Shadow, said Dr. Gibson. She didn't even notice that Lizzie didn't say hello or invite her in. I know I should have brought him over without asking first. I just couldn't stand to leave the little fellow alone. By the rest of the family crowded in behind Lizzie. Wow, said Charles. He's so cute. How old is he? Aw, what a great little pup, said Dad. Uppy! Yelled the Bean, trying to reach up to pat the puppy. Even Mom, the cat lover, was impressed. Will you look at him, she said. Ain't he something? She didn't seem to remember her manners. Why don't you come on in, Dr. Gibson? Oh, call me Katie, please, the doctor said as she came inside. She smiled at Lizzie. You look as if you're itching to hold this puppy. Why don't you take him while I get my coat off? Lizzie held out her arms and handed the puppy over to her. His soft, warm weight made Lizzie sigh happily. When he put one paw on either side of her neck, puppy hugged. She felt like as if her heart would burst. Hello, Shadow, she whispered into one of his silky ears. Good boy. The puppy then nuzzled her cheek with his nose and then licked her face all over, which made her giggle. Then the puppy struggled to get down and Lizzie carefully lowered him to the floor. He ran straight for the Bean, who was clapping and laughing. Grab him, said Mrs. Peterson. Lizzie wasn't sure what her mom meant, Shadow or the Bean, but there wasn't time anyway. It's okay, said Dr. Gibson. Shadow is great with little kids. He just played with my 1-year nephew all day today. He's just like a puppy, but he almost acts like a grown-up dog. They all wanted the Bean threw his arms around Shadow. Uppy! The Bean cried. Shadow frowned and disappeared. His tail lagged fast. It was nothing but a black blur. The pudgy little puppy licked the Bean's cheeks, nose, and ears. This little person was so much fun, and it's just like being back with his brothers and sisters, who loved to tumble around and wrestle and play. Right away, Shadow knew he would do anything for this little guy. Anything. Shadow's a pretty special pup, Dr. Gibson told him when they were all sitting down to eat the chocolate cake Mom had brought him home. By then, Lizzie had scooped Shadow up again, and he was sitting in her lap while she ate. The Bean stood next to Lizzie's chair. Ooh, itchy hand. Stroking Shadow's ears. He's a pure breed Labrador Retriever with papers and everything, the vet explained. Papers? Like the peon? Charles sounded confused. Lizzie smiled. No, she told him. That's for housebreaking. The kind of papers she's talking about are proof that he is a 100% pure breed dog. They tell who his mother and father are and where he comes from. That's right, Lizzie. You are very smart, the vet said, sounding impressed. Anyways, this special pup needs a home. A family in town brought him from a breeder that's almost right away. They found out that their son is allergic to dogs. So they asked me to find him a good home, and I thought of you guys. She smiled at Charles and Lizzie. You did such a good job taking care of Snowball and finding him a home. Mrs. Peabody brought him in the other day for a checkup, and he looked so healthy and happy. Remember how sick he was when we first saw him? Lizzie nodded. But she wasn't thinking about Snowball. She was thinking about Shadow, the adorable little puppy who was now nestled in her arms, fast asleep. Can we keep him, Mom? She asked. Can we keep Shadow? Keep, Mom asked, or foster? Lizzie already knew she would love to keep Shadow forever, but Mom probably wouldn't say yes to that. Foster, she said. This until we find the little dog a great home. Yeah, Foster, Charles agreed quickly. Lizzie knew Charles was like her. He would do anything to keep the puppy, even if it was only for a little while. Mom nodded thoughtfully. It's hard to say no to this little guy, she said. What do you think, Paul? Well, I'm sure for it rid of you are, Dad said. Wait a second. In the Goldie books, it mentions that the dad's first name is Harold. Did he get renamed to Paul? I mean, I know the mom's first name is Betsy. Anyways, let's get back to the story. I'm all for it if you are, Dad said. One thing I should say, said Dr. Gibson, it is that you should find the best if you can find Shadow. Build a permanent home quickly. He's only 9 weeks old. It is an important time for him to learn how to be a part of the family. We don't want him to get too attached to you. Then we'll have to start all over again. Mrs. Peterson was nodding. Charles and Lizzie looked at each other. They knew they were thinking the same thing. Maybe they could be Shadow's permanent home. But then Mom spoke up. Well, that makes sense, she said. And the timing works for us, too. We have a family vacation planned in a couple of weeks. We're visiting some relatives in South Carolina over spring break. Lizzie knew that her mother was right. She was really, really looking forward to seeing her cousins. They had 2 cool dogs named Pogo and Winnie to play with. Lizzie, Charles, and the Bean always knew that the best time in South Carolina. It was true. It wouldn't be fair to leave a puppy as young as Shadow in a kennel for almost 2 weeks. But Lizzie knew it. It was also true that giving up Shadow would be one of the hardest things she would ever have to do. She was already in love with the little black puppy with the serious face. Shadow felt warm and safe on the girl's lap, and he knew she would take good care of him. He wanted to take care of her, too. He squirmed out into a more comfortable position, sighed happily, and went back to sleep.